This seemingly innocuous Super Nintendo cart houses the game known as Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, or Final Fantasy USA in Japan, which is taking a real quick look at ratings, this game did but I think this was made to be perceived as and not whoa, or else the Japanese name would have been something like Final Fantasy Gaiden Benjamin's Legend of the Same Town Song but different arrangements, or FFG BLSTS BDA for short. Seriously, play through it, it's the same song just remixed and in different styles. But today we're not looking at what could have been, no, we're looking at what could be, or what couldn't be. See, I wanted to take a real quick dive into whether or not Final Fantasy Mystic Quest could be reworked into something similar to a pixel remaster or a full-blown remake, kinda like Secret of Mana. But we don't talk about that remake here. If you've never played it or even heard of it, then let me get you up to speed in the shortest amount of time possible. Are you ready? Here goes. Just after the release of Final Fantasy IV called 2 in the States at the time, Square realized that RPGs just weren't as popular over here as they were in Japan. So they pulled together a little team that worked closely with the American office to see that the difficulty, the reasoning behind the thought of why RPGs weren't popular here yet, wasn't too high, and that it was more geared toward a younger demographic. The price point reflects this, being sold for the retail price of $39.99, about $20 cheaper than nearly everything else. I feel kind of like Bob Barker when I was doing that just now. Actual retail price. The game boasted no huge list of items or equipment or magic, and instead relied on having a handful of each with basic functions. Meaning you won't find any hero drinks in this game, just simple things like cure, heal, life, quake, 4 types of swords, shields, on and on and on. Long story short, it failed. What it did was it alienated fans that were already waiting for the next Final Fantasy epic story, and it suffered from a quote identity crisis. So there's that. So why are we talking about it now? Shouldn't it be flushed down the toilets of time and forgotten about? No. See, I'm an advocate for this game. Yes, it was super simple and it was kinda but there's some charm there. And some good music too, but first the charm thing. If Final Fantasy VI is the shiny, brave knight who saved the land many times over from evil forces, Mystic Quest is the child in the castle's daycare with a wooden stick fighting the great broccoli plate from the evil dinner table kingdom. It's just like a cute little thing with a huge imagination. It wants to be big like the shiny knight, but just not yet. Ugh, this is what I love about the Final Fantasy series. You can do these little comparisons because they're all different. No, Mystic Quest didn't have the random battles, but you could see the enemies on the map itself. You could jump, you could swing an axe if you felt like it, and that kind of made you feel a little more powerful than the other Final Fantasy titles. When you swing the axe, there's a massive whoosh sound to it. Oh yeah! There's also a revolving door of party members you get. No one really sticks around for very long, and they all leave you with something that helps you progress. Oh yeah, and there's these like marathon battle points on the world map that net you more rewards if you empty them. There's usually 10 battles you gotta get through, and if you want my advice on those, literally leave something heavy on the A button and go do something else for 5 or 6 minutes. Come back and it'll be cleared. That's what my sister and I used to do anyway. But if you do manage to get a game over in this game at all, no worries. You can choose to restart the battle completely. Easy! So we've talked about its charm and how cute it is, but that soundtrack? Oh, that soundtrack. Even though it wasn't composed by Nobuo Uematsu, the soundtrack is up there for me. I don't think it rivals Final Fantasy 4 through 6, but I think it's in a separate class of its own. My personal favorite track is the Fossil Labyrinth. The chord changes in the song are just astounding. Ba, 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 ba. So it goes. Ugh, just listening to it now makes me feel like I'm on a quest. But all I'm doing is sitting here with Pringles typing a script. Yeah, I script everything, so what? So the question remains, could this game be remade for today's RPG audience? Well, yes and no. They could certainly do a pixel remaster for the fans of the older games and we'd love it. But as for a remake, no, I don't think there's a place for it. It was a product of its time and it was geared towards a younger demographic 30 years ago. Things have changed significantly since then. I mean, maybe if they reworked some of it to better balance it out and maybe give it an action-oriented battle sequence, maybe. But I just don't think so. I think it needs to stay where it is as a little time capsule of gaming during the time. I love it exactly how it is, but definitely play it for yourself and see if I missed something. Sometimes the most obvious things are hidden in plain sight, kind of like this mid-1600s reference in the final trailer for Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins. Oh, and I make the worst segue humanly possible in that video. This game does look amazing, and I absolutely can't wait to play it. And then I'll talk about it with you all.